My name is Erin Rose Park. I'm 15 years old, based in Orange County. I'm 5'4", and I'm a freshman in OSHA's acting conservatory. That introduction is known as a slate in the acting industry. As an actor, slates are a critical part of the audition process, especially when submitting self-tape auditions, which have become more common post-pandemic. When auditioning for TV commercials or parts in a film, actors often get asked to introduce ourselves in a quick 15 to 30-second bit, or slate. It's an opportunity to give casting directors some basic facts about ourselves. However, it is often much more than that. Sometimes casting directors ask actors to describe their favorite place or a funny situation. They use it to get a quick sense of an actor's personality. It is very much a first impression. And when auditioning, it is very important to make a positive, lasting first impression. Whether it's on film or live and in person, first impressions can help to shape how others feel and believe about you. And those first impressions can be formed very quickly. Study shows that it can take as little as 1/10 of a second for a complete stranger to create their first impression of you. It may begin with one's appearance, including the way they dress, their hygiene, or their posture. But first impressions can further be formed the moment one speaks, from the tone and quality of one's voice to the first words they choose to say. For example, did one say hello and make eye contact? Or did one fail to acknowledge others in the room with wandering eyes? This subtle difference can affect our future interactions with an anchoring effect. But what is anchoring? Anchoring is a term used to describe a cognitive bias that causes us all to rely heavily on our first impressions and future opinions or decisions. It's a type of judgment that we can all make unintentionally. For example, I once auditioned for a really big project, and my initial audition went really well. I ended up getting a call back, and I was super nervous, but also extremely excited. My callback audition did not go so well, however. I fumbled the lines and did not execute the delivery, but despite this, I booked the job. Perhaps an anchoring bias may have been formed from my first audition, so even though my callback audition was not the best, they were able to look past my first audition because it created a positive feeling or outcome. Now, I could spend the rest of our time here discussing the positive effects of first impressions and how to develop those skills and why they are important. However, I want to talk about another power that first impressions can have. It's a strong power that we have all been victims of. Sometimes, first impressions have the power to restrict us and confine us to narrow viewpoints. We don't always make the great first impression. It's human nature to be influenced by our mental state or circumstances, like maybe we didn't get a good night's sleep, maybe we are dealing with tough life situations, or maybe we just got into a fight with our sibling. There are so many reasons why we are not able to make a great first impression when the time arises. Our society is so quick to judge others, often placing people into categories without knowing them or even having talked to them at all. And remember, it can take less than a second to create some perception about someone, but is that even fair or accurate? The concept I mentioned earlier, anchoring, can also have a troubling negative effect. It can unwillingly hold us back from achieving certain outcomes or even hold us back from forging relationships with others. And this is very common in the acting industry, as actors often get typecast based on their personality traits, their looks, or formed impressions. They often get stuck playing the same types of characters. Many comedic actors rarely get a chance to play dramatic roles, for example. Now, I personally have experienced this myself. One time in middle school, I was auditioning for the female lead in a very big play. I was super excited, but also extremely nervous. I had spent all night rehearsing the scenes, trying to perfect them, and I was ready to go in that audition and nail it. Despite the nerves, I was overflowing with excitement. But that excitement quickly faded. One by one, each girl was getting called back into the room for the female lead, and before my name was called, the assistant director announced, "That's it, come inside." They had completed the auditions, and every single girl who had auditioned got called back into the room, except for me. I stood there, alone, devastated and confused. But After composing myself, I had the opportunity to ask the casting director if there was a mistake and if I could still audition. The reply I received was the dreaded, "No, that's all we need to see from you today." In our industry, that's code for, "You didn't get the part." Dejected, I turned around and walked out. I had worked so hard practicing for this role, and I didn't even get the chance to audition solo. In the very limited time that they saw me during that group audition, a certain perception was formed about me that prevented me from showcasing more of my capabilities. And while this happens every day in the acting industry, it also happens in everyday lives. In our lives, we might anchor our opinion about someone based on a false or flawed first impression. What if these formed impressions prevent us from getting to know someone in a deeper, more meaningful way? What if they prevent us from finding out truly interesting things about others? What if we typecast others and don't give them a chance to express to us their ideas and talents? What if we miss out on a potentially amazing friendship because we judge someone based on a false or flawed first impression? Now again, I myself have made this mistake. Today, one of my best friends, someone I could truly not live without, was someone I initially never saw myself being friends with. The first time I saw her at school, I thought she wore too many bright and vibrant colors and thought we had nothing in common. I put her in the category of someone I would never become good friends with because we were just too different. Luckily, I was cast in a show with her, and I had the opportunity to go past the first impression. This is a photo of us from when we first became friends in 7th grade. As you can see, we are completely different, but throughout the show and getting to know her, I got to discover how truly wonderful, passionate, hardworking, and sweet she was. This is a photo of us now, 3 years later. Still very different, but inseparable. Had I let my initial thoughts about her restrain me from opening up and talking to her, I would have missed out on one of the best friendships of my life. I had to put my initial thoughts about her aside, open myself up, and take a risk to discover who she truly was. We as humans tend to make a quick judgment of others. We assume we know enough about someone or something by just dipping our toes in the water. But most things in life, especially people, are much more than a facade. Based on the title of this talk, The Power of First Impressions, you may have thought that this was a discussion based on the positive effects of first impressions and why it's important and how to develop those skills. But as we've discussed, it's also something entirely different. First impressions can also have the power to restrain us and limit our ability to learn new and interesting things about others. None of us want to be judged by our worst moment. Neither should we. Instead, we should seek to look past initial impressions and work harder to find someone's character or personality, just like we would hope others would do for us. If we dare to explore deeper, we may discover incredible substance and forge more meaningful, fulfilling relationships. So yes, first impressions hold two kinds of powers. It's important and beneficial to work on making a great first impression, but it's also important to overcome the power it can hold over us and seek to learn others' personality. If we dare to explore deeper, we may discover incredible substance and forge more meaningful relationships. So, I ask you, the next time you meet someone new, take a risk, open yourself up, and discover something new. Thank you.